It is recording.
And I have 7 o'clock, so I'd like to get started. So good evening. Welcome to the 18 October 2021 fire panel meeting between the West Rockhill Township Board of Supervisors and the 4 local fire companies that the township financially supports. For those new to our meetings, I'm David Collingwood, Chairman of the Board of Supervisors. I'm joined by fellow supervisor, Mr. Jim Miller, Vice Chair, and member Jay Kaiser. I'll call tonight's meeting to order with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, quickly, this meeting is being held virtually and will be recorded. At its conclusion, Mr. Lippincott will post the meeting on the township's YouTube channel. A link to this meeting can be found on the township's website at www.westrockhilltownship.org. Please silence cell phones and mute your computers until you wish to speak. With that, are there any public comments on the agenda items as listed? If so, please state your name and address. Mr. Lippincott, are there any?
No, there are no email comments.
Okay, thank you. So we'll move to the agenda, to the announcements. First of all, no final decision will be made this evening based on discussions to be held. The board will take all comments, issues, and concerns under advisement. I'll start with a roll call to determine which fire companies are represented. Ask for comments from the Board of Supervisors, then open up the discussions for each fire company in the order in which they're listed on the agenda, to be given the opportunity to present issues, concerns, and suggested path forwards. Please be aware we have received and we have reviewed the 26th February 2021, the future of Bucks County Fire Services, which was an update from the Bucks County Planning Commission. With that, I'll move to the different fire companies as they are listed. Just to please introduce yourself, and if there's any other fellow attendees, let us know that who's attending for you. We'll start with Sellersville Borough.
Kurt Wagner, Fire Chief, Sellersville Borough.
Thank you. Telford Borough.
Chief Bob Wisniewski.
President Jerry Grutzi.
Okay. Trumbowersville Fire Company.
Chief John Cressman.
Thank you, John. And Tylersport Fire Company.
Chief Scott Elsesser.
Great. Thank you very much. With that, I will ask our supervisors. This is something new for me. I wasn't included in the previous meetings that included pizza. So this is, again, I'm going to ask Mr. Miller, and I'm going to ask Mr. Kaiser to basically comment from past experiences and what their expectations are and if they have any issues or concerns. Mr. Kaiser.
First,
Okay, thanks.
David, I don't think we heard from Carmen. Could Carmen introduce himself?
I'm sorry.
Hi, good evening. Carmen Conaselli, Deputy Chief with Sellersville Fire Department.
Thank you, Carmen.
Thank you very much. I thought that Mr. Wagner would do that, but we're fine. We're good. Thank you. All right. Mr. Kaiser?
Yeah, okay. Thanks for all you coming. It looks like most of you are still in the same positions that you were in last time we met. We used to have a round table pizza night, and then we would discuss what's new and exciting with the fire departments and where there were issues at. And I've always heard and tried to work on training facilities closer to their fire stations. And also, we know that there has always been a lack of and need for more volunteers. I do believe we've always discussed, and there was a pretty good sense that for equipment-wise, most everybody had really good equipment, and I have actually witnessed that at the functions and like September Fest. I don't think that there's very much fire equipment that's in better shape and nicer than what we've seen in our township. So I do commend all the companies on that. I know things change over the years, and I'm not happy that we're not meeting in person, and I would like to get back to that shortly. But for now, I guess our issues will be discussing, how things are going with the fire departments under the circumstances we're facing right now, and is there still issues, I guess, with short staffing and what our issue is with equipment, if there are any. So that's about all I have to say right now until I hear from the departments on how things are actually going in their own departments.
Mr. Miller?
Well, Jay covered most of it. It's been a while since we met, and I'm glad to see everybody again. I've been listening and hearing from all over the county issues with staffing, getting your volunteers out there, and they're working their tails off, and you're just able to make ends meet if possible with the volunteers that you have. So I see that as a big issue we need to address. Other than that, what Jay said, I just echo that.
Thank you. I would agree with both of you. And with that, I think we'll move on to the Sellersville Borough Fire Company and allow Mr. Wagner and anyone else from the company take the time to discuss their concerns, their issues, and suggestions to move forward in any way possible to aid the fire company. Sellersville Borough.
Thank you. We're doing fairly well. We'll say for the pandemic we're still in, if you call it that. We were able to hold our carnival this year, which was a big help. Other than that, we've had one or two fundraisers in the past year. So we're always looking at different ways to bring money in. We did purchase a new truck that won't be delivered until summer of 22. So that's pretty big news for us. Don't know what else you want to be updated on, Carmen, if you could think of anything I'm missing.
No, just since the hurricane, we're in a disarray in the firehouse. Firehouse pretty much torn apart. Everything's in the apparatus bay, so we're responding to calls from there, and there's really no place to hang out or anything like that. But it has not. The hurricane has not hampered our response. The membership for the past 2 years has been pretty strong. Seems like it goes in wave cycles. 1 year we're hurt, and next year we're good. So I think everyone else could agree with that. It's that roller coaster ride. Right now we're riding the high wave. So other than that, I don't have anything on the fire department. I just had with the Knox box ordinance. I don't know if we want to touch on that or wait till everyone talks. Just had a question about that.
Yeah, we can come back to that. Carmen reminded me, I don't know how I forgot, but yeah, with the Hurricane Ida, when that came through, we had 2 feet of water in the firehouse everywhere. So
Amazing.
about 6 feet down in our storage barn where we keep stuff for the Grove and tractors and stuff like that. And then probably 9 to 10 feet of water in our picnic grove that we run out for fundraisers. So everything from September 1st to the end of the year has been canceled, and doing pretty much a refurb on the firehouse, bringing it all up to getting things painted now that we can't do anything else, getting the new floors put in. So got a lot of work to do. We'll probably be at least till January till we're back up and running, so to speak. say that's all we have, Mr. Collinwood.
Thank you. Fellow supervisors, any questions or comments for Sellersville at this point?
I have one for Mr. Wagner. Kurt, the fundraisers you did have and the carnival, were they well attended?
Yeah, the carnival was very well attended. It was like running 2 weeks of carnival or 2 years of carnival in 1 week. That's how well it was attended. I think people at that point just wanted to do anything to get out of the house. So yeah, that was good.
Well, that's what we want to hear.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Kurt, one question. As far as the renovations you're doing now, were you able to cover all that with insurance?
Yes, so far everything should be covered under insurance. They won't cover landscaping, and then we have our deductibles. So that's
Okay.
pretty much.
Thanks.
But so far they haven't balked at anything.
Good. Thanks.
Kurt, do you have any other fundraisers from now to the end of the year, or is the weather going to kind of stop you, or do you move inside for something to bring in money?
No, we have nothing for the end of the year. We don't have anywhere to have any of the fundraisers because the firehouse is being torn apart. So,
All right. Thank you. Okay, let's move to Telford Borough.
Yeah, like everybody, 2020, we didn't do anything other than run calls. So that year was tough for us. This year, we're getting back to a little bit normalcy. The big news probably for us, and maybe Scott will mention it as well, at the end of last year, we had gone in with Tylersport on a regional AFG federal grant for both departments, both going after air packs. And we were lucky enough to get that grant. And I think it was just under $300,000 between the two departments. So we replaced all of our air packs. I believe it was like 29 air packs in total, closer to 60 air bottles. So that's a huge savings for us, money obviously that we didn't have to put out, that we can, use towards other needs around the firehouse. But besides that, I mean, it's, relatively quiet. We are doing a couple fundraisers, what we can. And the big thing I got going on right now, which I mentioned to Greg when this was trying to get organized, was next week I'm in for both townships, or the borough and Franconia Township in Montgomery County, for an ISO review. So we're trying to prepare for that. That's really about all I got right now.
Jay or Jim, do you have any comments, questions?
I don't have any other than I don't think you guys had any flooding in your department, did you, Bob?
Not in our firehouse, no. And in our local, it was relatively minor. We probably did more assist calls that night, actually with Tylersport than probably, any of our own. So we were pretty lucky. Telford was very lucky. The borough itself, I think one of the parks had minor damage. That was it. So there was really nothing to report to FEMA at all.
Well, that's good. Thank you.
Yeah.
I don't have any comments, David. I'm good.
Yes, thanks. Let's move on to Trumbowersville.
Good evening, everybody. Thanks for letting me come out here tonight. Just give you a quick update on Trumbowersville. Again, COVID really has been down on us too with fundraising. We haven't, just trying to get back to normal. Hopefully in January, we're going to start to get a normal calendar back up and going. But we're trying different things. We did a drive-through chicken barbecue, and we're just trying different things to keep our funds going. Some of the things we're currently working on, we're working on trying to replace our tanker, which is a 1995, which we had purchased from Telford. I think 2010, 2012, I think we purchased that from Telford. That truck's starting to show its wear and tear. So we're looking into replacing that. And we're looking into doing some updates around our firehouse. We got a heating system that needs to be updated, and we got a bunch of other issues at the firehouse. It's time to update. So that's what we're working on. Just like everybody else, we still have daytime call or volunteer issues, but we work through it the best we can. And that's about all I got for now.
Are you seeing a lot of interest from the younger generation, the high school and that area and above, wanting to become volunteers?
It's hit or miss. I mean, you might get one or two, and they might hang around for like 6 months, and then they're gone, or they come around and then they start college and they're gone. So I haven't had luck with anybody in the last 3-4 years, but maybe one stayed. So I can't speak for the rest.
Jim or Jay, comments, questions?
I do
I have
not.
one.
Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I have one question. I have one question for John. John, are you guys still doing your game dinner, or did you put that on hold?
That's on hold.
Okay.
So
Understand. Thank you.
yep.
Jim, anything?
No, I don't. Thanks.
Okay, great. Well, then we'll go to Scott at Tylersport and hear what's going on up there.
We're hanging in there. I feel we're doing pretty well. Membership, we got a couple young guys that we were able to get on board, and they seem pretty interested and eager, but still only 16. They got a little ways to go, become full-fledged. We have been able to pick up a member here or there. You get a guy joins and no shows. So, we struggle like the rest with, maintaining a staff. We could always use more, but we are getting the job done and able to do that. So we are hanging in there. As far as fundraising goes, late in the year last year, we were able to get our bingo back up and running, but we did not do any other fundraising other than bingo late in the year. This year, we were able to maintain our bingo, which has actually been pretty busy. I think like Kurt and those guys aren't able to do any of that. So the competition has kind of dwindled a little bit. So ours seems to be pretty flourishing. We are trying to do our hayride this year just for 2 weekends to see how that works out. So that starts next weekend. And we will be doing our 5K run in December for another fundraiser. But other than that, we've kind of been laxed, lacking help, also lacks in the fundraising department. It just can't beat the heck out of a few guys trying to get it all done. So we're trying to pick and choose our best fundraisers and work from there. As Bob stated, we did get in with a grant with Telford, and we were able to get 19 new air packs replaced under that grant, which was a huge cost savings for us, and just a great benefit, to come around on our side. So we are in the process. We sent our truck out a week and a half ago to out to Schwab Wagon Company, and we honestly couldn't afford to buy a new one, so we're refurbishing our 2000 Spartan Schwab engine. So it'll be back in about 3 to 4 months. We're just getting it updated, some additional safety features and so forth, and then some modernization. So that's about it.
Thank you. Anything from Jay or Jim?
No, Scott, I just want to thank you for helping us out for Septemberfest over the ice. I do appreciate that.
No problem. It's a big machine. Might as well put it to use.
It is. Yep. So thank you very much.
Sure.
Nothing here, David.
All right, thanks. Township manager, do you have any comments or?
No, I'd just like to thank them all for their volunteer and their hard work. They provide a great service to the community, and we appreciate it.
So I'm not quite sure as far as old business, new business, but as a whole, we have the 4 fire companies. Anyone from the 4 fire companies have any ideas on moving forward, township-wise, being involved, whether it be money or any other kind of support, if they want to talk about it? I think this is the forum in which to do that. Send more money.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's a real hammer nail driving answer to the situation, without a doubt. Promotion of volunteering is a great thing. There has been some grants out there to promote and push it, but in the end of the day, the required training and the requirement to be there, pushes a lot of people away. So I think until the state as a whole reorganizes the volunteer fire service and training and requirements in Pennsylvania, locally, you're not going to be able to go through leaps and bounds without that situation. Because no matter what, to join as a basic referendum, you're just 220 hours to get started and then work from there. So putting it out there is probably our best opportunity, publicizing it, looking for different ways and means of drawing membership in, maybe in a different aspect rather than directly firefighting. If we can bring different members in to operate from the executive side, leaving time so our firefighters aren't doing the executive side as well, which is a couple ideas that we're exploring just to see how we can handle that and do that, and trying to just adjust to try to meet the new standards that we need to provide.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, I mean, for my own purpose, I mean, I went through that. I guess it was 30-some pages from the Bucks County Planning Commission. It seemed like the two biggest issues with all the fire companies is volunteers and funding. And I guess all four of you, the four companies, you would probably all mirror that.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah, I mean, there's times it's up and there's times it's down. You know what I mean? Just as it was stated. I mean, there's times you're riding that wave that you're getting it done and you're getting members, and next thing you know, one guy gets married, he moves out of the area. You get kids that are in there young, they're in there for a few years, they graduate, they're off to college, they're gone. So, it's just the volunteers relate directly to income. If you don't have a lot of volunteers, you can't beat them enough to make a lot of income.
And to echo with that, the more funding that we can get from our townships that we cover, that's less time that we're spending fundraising, and that you can have the guys attend these classes that are 200 hours.
Yeah, we're not running our hall out for anything public anymore, with the exception of possibly some bingo functions, because we don't have the manpower to flip tables. So I mean, the issues are out there without a doubt.
Not even for weddings? You don't do anything like that? Scott?
Nope. The ladies auxiliary are getting older. They're not doing the food catering. And, when we rent the hall for the weekend, because of our bingo on Tuesday nights, we got to flip tables. So every time we got to flip, we got to chairs, tables, flip, put everything away. And, you start doing that every weekend, it gets old and time consuming. If you have a few fire calls, you have a storm that comes through, guys are really running hard, and, you got guys with kids that want sports and trying to attend all that stuff. So, you got to put your family first.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the tough decisions we had to make, but it made sense. So
let me ask this as a group. What do you think about these meetings? There hasn't been one for quite a while, and I guess we should just probably think about trying to maintain these meetings, if not yearly, every 6 months or so, because I'm not quite sure how often they were held in the past before the COVID thing hit. I know they were very informal and they were very informative, and they're a good thing to have. But what are your thoughts on that? Anyone from the fire company?
I think yearly's pretty good to get started. If we can get back into that yearly routine.
yeah, I mean, I think the roundtable discussion is the best thing, is we can bring it all to the table. Most of us are all pretty communicative. If there's an issue that pops up during the year, to communicate amongst ourselves or with Greg and so forth. If we can get just back to that point of kind of keeping some things on the board once a year, would probably be pretty good start.
Well, we'll just have to make that happen.
I mean, Greg's got to buy the pizza this time, but yeah.
I like that. Jim or Jay, any comments?
Yeah, I do. A couple years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago now, we had passed a resolution so you guys would be able to put in for insurance money for a little bit of kickback on materials and things after fire events and things like that. Are you overwhelmed with paperwork because of that? I know we originally that we were requiring it like quarterly, and then we said semi-annually, and annually we just needed a report. I mean, is that an issue? I just want to know. I don't want us to slow you down.
I mean, since I do the reports and the billing for Sellersville, I just never understood why we had to send that, because it's really all we do. It's a third party company where it's so easy now. You could just do it online,
Yeah.
Upload our fire report, send it, and we have hands off. And then our information, that personal information, whether it's a police report, we shred it. So we don't keep any of that information. I just never understood why we always had to send that, because I know I drove over there a few times, and I think I was told a couple years ago we were the only ones doing it, and then it just got overwhelming with my jobs. At that time, I was working 3 of them.
Yeah.
That's between the insurance. I mean, I probably handed over 100 claims that we've done, and we don't get back on every single one. For instance, we had a fire in Sellersville Borough on Temple Avenue, and Silverdale got the money. We didn't. So I don't know how that operated. And I even called the guy up, and he said that, I forget the excuse we got, but then he was trying to get us money from the Silverdale fire the night of the 2016 presidential election, which we haven't gotten anything. You know, if anything, it would have been the homeowner's deductible, which is, I think, residential is mainly $500.
Yeah.
Sorry, that's the work.
I
I guess at the end, it's just what is the reasoning for sending the reports? I mean, if it's the reason you're mandating it, then yeah, I see we have to follow that. I just never really understood why we had to.
I think we need to revisit that, Carmen. I think that, in my opinion, at the time, was the way to get it passed.
Right.
Okay? But I really, I'm being honest here. I think the board needs to revisit that and determine, you know, if it's overkill or what. We'll take that up. David,
Okay.
you make a note of that so we can take that up and decide among us.
when that resolution was passed, I was there, and we had input to that and so forth. And I think Jay will recall. I'm not sure, Jim, if you were on the board or if you weren't.
It was.
I know Don was, and the whole thing that was put together really didn't make any sense, just for the simple fact of what Carmen said. We've got to turn those reports over quickly in order to get them into the process. And it's between us and the third party biller and the people's insurance company. And I think at the time, Don was concerned that the people would be penalized if the fire companies turned in a report. And if you remember, I read an insurance policy from one of the guys that lives in Sellersville, and they have coverage for fire company activity. So at that point, you know, I think it was my point to you guys at that time was, you guys are trying to undertake something that we can't give you the information for, or we can't provide you as quickly, and it would just be extra work for you guys. So, you know, that kind of is how it went.
Yeah, and I remember that conversation exactly the same way, Jerry, and that's why I wanted to revisit it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So just to add on to that, we have a certain amount of days to submit these claims. If not, the percentage of our intake goes down, and the company gets more and we get less. Mm-hmm. So the longer we sit on the report, the less money we potentially get. Believe it or not, accidents, we get more than dwelling fires. We've gotten couple $1,000. I think the most has been 3,200 minus the 15% for their cut. Residential, I think we've gotten $500. Take that, it goes down to like 250 or something. We've gotten, which I don't know the explanation on that one, but accidents we've gotten a lot more. Just with fire, police, and oil drive, we drop on the roadway, we can get a couple $100.
Okay.
So,
Thanks, Carmen.
yep.
All right, thank you. Any other comments? I think we'll just go to see if anyone has any old business.
I got one more
Jim?
comment.
You may, go ahead.
What is the township's long-term plan for possible replacing the township fire marshal? Or what's your stand on moving forward with that position?
Would you like me to answer what we're currently doing? Currently, what we're doing is sending the plans of any land development to the fire chief. If it's in Sellersville territory, we send it to Sellersville. If it's in Trumbarsville, we send it to Trumbarsville. Whoever the fire chief is now reviews the land development plans instead of the fire marshal.
And is that the plan that you plan on sticking with moving forward? I've reviewed a few plans, and they have, most of the business owners, obviously are looking at some type of exception where they would like a letter from the fire chief for plans that go against a certain policy for the township or something like this here. I always thought that the fire marshal had more time to be doing this kind of stuff. I was notified in the past when Joe was in of controlled burns that were in our local and stuff like this here, kind of giving us the heads up when those were going to take place and stuff like this here. And obviously now we don't do that. And that's just it's not a big thing. It really isn't reviewing the plans. We like to see the plans, but it is another thing that now that, we're going to be, asked to do. And I was just wondering if the plan that you have in place is what you're going to be, planning on keeping in place.
If I may, David?
Yes, please, Jay.
Okay. Yes, thank you. Bob, it's a good point you just brought up here, because we kind of like let this slip through the cracks that Joe retired, and we never replaced his position. I think this board needs to discuss and review the realistic possibility of getting another fire marshal, so you guys don't have to worry about that. Now, how we go about that, that's something we have to talk about. But I do believe we should have a fire marshal, and the chief shouldn't have to do that.
Well, I know Joe had further training too than what I currently have, as far as through the state reviewing these plans and stuff like that. I like looking at dimensions for widths of driveways and stuff like this here, but he had additional training. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Again, the two that I've reviewed so far, that one wanted a written, one wanted a verbal, basically agreement that if, they look at this property, I wouldn't have a problem with the type of construction that they were going to be putting on there. Well, I don't know, per se what the township, feeling is on that. And, I don't want to start anything, with the fire department and the township, where I know Joe had more time to look into that and communicate those concerns and those decisions, between himself, whoever the owner of the property is, and you guys,
Right. Well, why don't we go down the path of, I suggest, Greg, you take write a note down that we need to review this, discuss it, and then come up with an action plan moving forward.
So I just have a couple comments, if I can interject. It's Cartman. First and foremost, West Rockhill is the authority having jurisdiction. You're putting this on to volunteers that do not have the certifications and experience doing this. I know we've gotten a couple, but I tell Kurt, we don't do the final say because it's not on us. And I can see 10 years, 5 years from now, like the liability on that first and foremost. I personally feel it's a township's responsibility to fill that position, just because, like everyone's saying, we're all volunteer here and we're getting this other stuff dropped on our laps. And some of us may just have fire one or a couple officer or whatever the cases may be. We're not certified to be finalizing these, or we can make recommendations. And that's what we have done. I get through Sellersville Borough. We'll make a recommendation. Here's our longest length of the fire truck in that aspect. But, authority having jurisdiction is West Rockhill, and that should be your seal. And if anything from the fire companies, it should be just our recommendations, and whoever the third party is that the township is using should have the final say. It should not be, I'm looking at legality and liability. God forbid, we approve something and something happens and it's going to come back to, Kurt and Carmen. We're the ones that gave them the authority to do that, and we don't have the backing for that certification wise.
That's a good point. And as Jay has said, I think that as a township, we will revisit the need to go back and look at fire marshal. Any other comments, questions, concerns?
Yeah, and sooner or later, I don't know how often, but sooner or later, coverage maps would want to be, reviewed again. And that was, Joe took that on too the last time that was performed, and again, that's to be something that is at least looked at, every few years or so.
Right.
And again, you'd have to go through, a fire marshal or somebody like that there giving you guys the recommendations. It ain't going to come from, any of the chiefs.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing is liability. I think comes to mind. That's the biggest piece of that puzzle. Liability and also authority when it comes to that, as we're getting asked from the outside parties to approve plans and so forth. I think the township looks in a better light having that one main authority to answer that question and be a direct representative of West Rockhill Township, as compared to being, for me, being an outsider, not even being in West Rockhill Township or in Montgomery, in Bucks County. But 100% agree with the liability aspect of it. I mean, yeah, I'm a plumber. Doesn't make me, a certified plan reviewer, so to speak. So,
right, makes sense.
And you have a neutral party at that point in time for any, incidents, discussions. You just always have that neutral party in the mix.
So I would just like to comment. I agree with everything that was just said by the other chiefs. I do have one question when kind of along the same line. When places are going to get torn down, people are either rebuilding the structure. If we can get access, if the homeowner, property owner lets us to get into these places before they tear them down, they use them for training. That's a great
good point.
That's great for us to have. I know A&T, they have they had a house there where they built that garage for their detail shop.
Right.
We were able to get in there. We had a class, invited some other fire companies. So whenever we have the opportunity to get into a real structure, that's a lot better than any of the burn buildings that we go to at the county levels.
Mr. Chairman, may I request that we have Greg make note that whenever somebody comes in with a permit request to tear down a building, that we notify the fire departments in that area and see if we can work that out.
I think it's Jim. I agree. I think that's a great idea.
Oh, I agree too. I think it's a great idea too.
Sure, we can do that.
And the other thing I don't remember seeing plans. This is what it was, Greg. I was going to tell you earlier. On Ridge Valley Road at the old Ken Kratz property, they're putting some houses in there.
Right.
I never saw plans for it. Not that it really matters, because like we said, I would just look at them, make sure things are the proper width or length that we can get in there. Other than that, you're going to build a house to code. I don't know what those codes are, so hopefully they do it right. But we did notice that the driveways, because one of the homeowners called us, they are very, very narrow. The culverts, we wouldn't even be able to get a truck over them to get in, we don't think. Carmen, you went out and measured it. I forget what the measurement you came up with was.
Yeah, she called, I guess, the firehouse. I went over after a fire prevention school visit, and my chief car barely got in there. Now that was during the day. Picture nighttime, 3 o'clock in the morning, where there's no light on that road. She has told me numerous FedEx and UPS trucks have gotten stuck and had been towed out. And she's the far house that's all the way back into the woods. And believe it or not, we just had an accident there, I think last weekend, a car going into the culvert. She said she's reached out to the township. She came to us. I said, we have no jurisdiction. I mean, I told her, I said, I'll try to help you. I gave her my card. I said, but this needs to be paid wider in my eyes. But again, it's up to the land development person, the township, all you guys getting together and agreeing on something. But there's 2 houses. They kind of share that driveway. And then I think there's another one down further, closer to Tower. Same thing. I mean, we're not going to get apparatus in there. Now you're talking hundreds of feet of a tack line that we have to go down the driveway just to put a fire out. So I'm not sure she reached out to you guys, but this was beginning of October, the first week. I think it was a Monday or Tuesday. I went out there. So
she has reached out to me. I've been working through the process with her to try to get it fixed. It's actually a PennDOT permit because Ridge Valley Road is a PennDOT road, and they gave permits for those driveways that are very narrow. PennDOT has now gotten involved. And we're working through the process. It has not come to the board yet because hopefully the developer and the property owners work their way through it before it gets to the Board of Supervisors. But that's currently where it is, and PennDOT's working with it too.
Awesome. Good to hear.
thank you.
Greg, I was going to say, obviously, that the homeowners are aware of that the process is with PennDOT and the contractor at this point, not with the township, right?
As of today, it might be a confirmed appointment in November,
Okay.
but I'm trying to get it resolved before it ever comes to you 3.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments?
I have one. Go ahead.
Jay, please.
I was going to suggest. I was listening to I know we keep talking about the lack of volunteerism. Would it help if we put an advertisement in our newsletters? They come out twice a year, I believe, for volunteers, looking for volunteers for the fire departments and we can list the fire departments: Sellersville, Telford, Tylersport, and Trimbursville. That'll get to, it won't hurt, and would get to everybody. I mean, I know it's tough, and getting young kids today to do things like that is really difficult, especially like you said, to stick with them because of having to drive so far down there to go to training. So I mean, look what gas is now and stuff. But I think it wouldn't hurt for us to put it in our newsletter. I think we'd be doing a good service to the departments by doing that, because it does reach everybody in the township for sure.
Yeah, definitely couldn't hurt.
Yeah, you get one person out of that, and it makes it worthwhile.
Yes, Greg, you got that written down?
Sure, I agree.
Yeah, I could put whatever they want in the newsletter. I think that would be a great idea to have just kind of a form thing with every year we put it out, whether we put it in our fall and spring or both.
Both.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it should be in both. And Greg, you can just reach out to the fire departments and work to get some kind of standardized form that we could use to put in there. We make it a full page if we have to. Put some pictures of the various fire departments and some of the work, and
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea because I was amazed when we did our letter donations and we were looking at some of the addresses and all. People in the township had no idea, that their fire department was going to be Telford if they called a fire department, So because there's not a West Rockhill fire department,
Right.
Probably a lot of residents don't even know who their fire departments even are.
Correct.
They don't. That's right.
Yeah, so that's a great idea, Jay.
All right. Well, I think we should get on it.
Super.
The other thing I will say is we definitely are going to discuss the issue there of the insurance claim thing. I think Jim's right. We had to do things to pass that, but it is time to revisit that, and we'll discuss that. So I'm looking forward to that.
Jay, I'm going to say it. You and I know how painful that was.
Yes, we do. But I do think that this is different times, and
Yeah.
We need to do whatever we can to help at least make things easier for these great volunteers that we have, because we know what they're facing, and we know how hard it is to get people to even come out. I'll share with you. I was just at a grocery store last week there where the deli was closed because they didn't have people to man it. That was the Redners over in Red Hill. So anyway, you all know what we're facing.
Right.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just drop down to number 8, old business on the agenda. Anybody have anything they want to talk about in old business?
Yeah, I just I just need some clarification on this Knox box ordinance the township passed a couple years ago that we presented. I read it as any business that has a fire alarm and sprinkler system needs a Knox box. I know Greg and I over the phone and email have talked about it's any new business. Well, any new business or any business going under renovation. And so any new business or business going under renovation, it's kind of defeats the purpose of this ordinance, because our issues are businesses that are currently there that have these systems. They're not going to be renovating, which technically I think the code states 75% of the building needs to be renovated in order to comply with today's codes. I read it. I asked a lawyer to read it, and they agree with me that it states in there any business that currently has a fire alarm or sprinkler system is mandated to have a Knox box. So I just would like some clarification, because we've been going to businesses and we're getting some satisfaction, and others are just blowing us off because, again, we're volunteers and we don't really have a leg to stand on. We can't enforce it. We're not the authority having jurisdiction. So that's where the fire marshal will come into play. And I spoke to Joe when he was here before. I believe he agreed with me. And so if we can get just some clarification, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But I think I'm right on that, because we don't see many businesses coming up in the West Rockhill other than that one off of Bethlehem, that motorcycle place. And they were great. Gave him the Knox box. He loved it. He thought it was a great idea. And I told him it's a $3,000 door or $320 Knox box. So, you end up doing the math. It saves everyone. So if I could just get that clarification, I think that'd be great.
Yeah, that's something else we have to take up, Carmen. 3 of us need to sit down and talk about that. Just like other things, these are different times. So.
Right. So if we're going to discuss that, can we then meet maybe twice or quarterly? Because I think these meetings in the last couple I've been in, we've said a lot of the same things, and we're coming back and we're going to do this, we're going to do that. So I think if we can do something either quarterly or at least twice a year, so we can stay on this, because we've had a list of companies we've gone out. We had a letter of this is why, for Knox boxes. And I know all 3 of you want to help the fire departments. You want to make it easier for us. So this is easier because we're not going to spend an hour on scene waiting for someone to get there. I told our guys, if we start seeing something, we're going to force entry, because our job is to mitigate the hazard. So if we're going to wait an hour, half hour, and water's flooding out their business, they're going to have to replace the door because we at least saved something. So I would be in favor if we can meet something quarterly to get these things that we're all writing down to handle. I think if we wait until next October, I'll put money on it. We're going to talk about the same things, and would not see just past history any success or any completion on these projects. And that's just me in the last couple of years being at these meetings.
I'd be okay with a semi-annual meeting.
What's that?
I'd be okay with a semi-annual meeting.
Yeah, something just so we can keep moving forward and finalize this stuff. I don't like open projects. You can ask my wife, guys at work. I want stuff done, and I don't want to cause blame or anything. I get along with everyone here. I just want to see that everyone's for the volunteers, and at the end of the day, if we keep getting pushed away, it's the township having the authority. You guys are going to have to start paying career staff to cover the township. So hopefully we can find a resolution and rectify this Knox box, the other things, and keep moving forward from here.
I think from what you've heard this evening from both Jay and from Jim and myself, that we are committed to addressing some of these issues that we've talked about tonight and addressing them sooner rather than later, with the fire marshal and obviously the coverage maps and the Knox box. And we want to get stuff into the newsletter. And I think the insurance claims has been brought up, and the demo of buildings and how we can get you guys in there so you can, if a building's going to be demolished. So there's a lot that can be done. And I think we as a group are committed to doing that. And if it means meeting more than once a year in order to accomplish it with this group, I think we can also commit to doing that as well.
Okay.
Thank you.
I got a suggestion, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
We can discuss it, but maybe we meet in the spring and then we meet in October. Maybe we set up a meeting, try and work on some of these things and get them ironed out so we can meet again in the spring and or get them fixed before that. But semi-annual, I think, would be a good thing to have as well.
Yeah, we got 2 newsletters coming out a year, one in the spring and one in the fall. That can be like a tickler to make sure that we do the newsletters coming out. We should be meeting with the fire departments, and Greg can help facilitate that to make sure that it gets on our calendars and we schedule the meeting and we make it happen. And hopefully
that's a great idea.
Hopefully the next one will be in person and we'll have pizza, so it's even better.
I think it should be.
Yes. Okay.
Just so you're aware, the deadline for the newsletter is mid-January, so I will need those articles by mid-January for the newsletter.
Oh, now all of a sudden there's stipulations.
The newsletter, there's deadlines. There are hard deadlines when it comes to the newsletter, so it makes it out in time.
Yeah, because if not, we hang the township manager by his toes. So it's
And let's talk about some of these issues in that newsletter too. Let's talk about the things we've discussed here tonight, and some actions we're taking so that the public knows what's going on.
Yeah, it could be a whole nice article, a whole page article, just about the fire departments and who they are.
Breaking it up into sections and
yeah.
Yeah, anything you do to put us in the public eye never hurts.
Yep.
Right.
As long as it's good.
That's right. Yeah, well, that too.
Any new business? I think we probably talked mostly about new and old business just as a part of this meeting. We kind of brought everything together.
What about bridge updates? You guys still have anything closed? Any idea on updates?
End of November,
No.
PennDOT says that the bridge on Allentown Road will be open.
Okay. Yeah, we've got plenty along our side, so we're quite familiar.
I got a lot of bridges out.
Ours are all good right now.
So far, so good, right?
Yep.
Way to go, Kurt. You jinxed us.
You're lucky you got that brand new bridge put in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that took a beating in the hurricane. I'm shocked it's still there, to be quite honest with you. Yeah, that there's a dumpster went right across it, past McElhair's into a lot of the bank down in the sewer plant.
Wow. Wow.
All right, we good then? Anybody else want to talk about? Greg, I think.
Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. Oh, no? Yes.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment. Some of you guys, I know you. I'm the new police chief, Paul Dickinson. I just wanted to reach out, attend the meeting, introduce myself to you. If you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to the police department. If you have any issues on scene, let me know. Greg can forward my information out to you. Just so you are aware, on the 15th and the 16th of November, we are hosting a grant writing school at the police department. I'll forward the information to Greg. He can forward it out to you guys. It's a 2-day class from 8:30 in the morning till about 4:30 in the afternoon. The cost is $499. So I'll forward that information out to Greg. I also forward my contact information out to him. If you aren't aware, I was a volunteer with Percy for many years, so I do understand a lot of the headaches and the dedication that you guys do have within your organization. So if you ever need anything from our department, reach out. Don't hesitate to give me a call, and we'll help you out the best we can.
Okay.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Great. Thank you. Thank you, Chief. So with that, any public comments? Greg?
There are no emailed public comments.
Okay. Any other comments from anyone? If not, I'm going to look for a motion to adjourn the meeting, and with the purpose of our rescheduling twice a year.
I'd like to say again, as we did before, I'd like to say again, thank you all, chiefs, for everything you do. And I'm committed. I know the other two supervisors are committed to take action on some of these issues sooner rather than later. And I think that you'll hear from us shortly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now, we appreciate you guys working on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
And I'll make a motion to adjourn.
And I will second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Here.
Yeah.
Stay safe, everyone.
You betcha.
Hey, goodbye.
Good night.
Good night.
Okay.